Pastor Robert Bush from Faith Baptist Church come forward and lead us in the invocation. And the Pledge of Allegiance will follow, led by Commissioner Goddard. Please rise if you can.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity that we have, Lord, to open such a meeting in prayer towards you. Lord, we thank you for the freedoms that we have in this country. And Lord, we do pray that you'd bless this meeting, Lord, that you'd give these commissioners and city officials here, Lord, and everyone here wisdom, Lord, yielded hearts, yielded wills. Lord, we pray that it would go smoothly, and Lord, that it would all come to order. We thank you and praise you and pray that you would receive all the honor and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Bush, and thank you, Commissioner Goddard. The chair will entertain approval of the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. We're going to recess the Board of County Commission meeting at this time, and
Can't do it right yet.
okay. All right, we're going to have to take a 3-minute recess.
Well, we can do presentation from,
Yeah, that's a good, thank you.
okay.
I think we will do that. We'll move down to presentations, and the Port Authority workshop is a 9:05 time certain, so we can't convene it before that time, so that's why we'll move down to presentations. And ask Dr. Nancy Russo to come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is that time of year to present about the Crisis Triage and Treatment Unit, which we partner with the county to transport people placed under a Baker Act or a Marchman Act to the various crisis stabilization units. So I'm assuming in your package you had the handouts, and there's one that shows the comparison between 2018, 2019, and as you can see, we were pretty comparable with 2018, 183 transports, and 2019, 181. So we're staying pretty consistent with the amount of residents that we do get to transport for services. And the other attachment was just the complete overall view of 2019 and a breakdown of each month. So is there any questions about those?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Harvey.
Nancy, I just want to thank you, and I remember serving as chairman of this committee and talking about those Baker Act transports and how much they were costing the county. And now that we're seeing savings, that's taken us a little while to get there, but it's really been beneficial, and I want to thank you and your organization and the committee for all the hard work on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And the other thing I wanted to go over was the year 2 highlights. We were able to meet all of our performance measures for most of the year, except for 1 month we missed one of our performance measures. About employment, what we do is we follow the clients, and after 180 days post-discharge from a CSU, we try to make sure that they are employed. And there's only 1 month out of the 11 that percentage wasn't met. We transported 211 residents overall. 181 were Baker Acts, and the remainder were Marchman Acts. And 38 of these individuals accepted case management services coming back into the community. And for the county, we reported an overall savings of $47,238 due to the transportation. And as in April of 2019, the courtesy transport contract with the county ended. So that was another savings that was seen, which since I no longer have we don't have invoices, there's no way of telling how much, you would have paid if the contract was still in place. And through SMA's, law enforcement, we were able to transport all but one of our clients, transporting car to car from, like, when the sheriff's department shows up with the person. Our goal is less than 15 minutes to transfer them from law enforcement to us so we can get them back on the road. And out of all the transports, there was only one client that we weren't able to do that due to paperwork being missing. So the transport saved a total of 460 law enforcement personnel hours, and Major Rose did some calculations for me, and he said at the very basic level, that's a savings of $6,728. And we were able to train 42 law enforcement officers from the Sheriff's Department, Palatka PD, and Crescent City PD in crisis intervention training. And when Courtesy Transport ceased the transports for the county, that put the burden of transports outside of the hours of our operation back onto the Sheriff's Department. So since April, the Sheriff's Department has driven 6,295 miles, transporting 38 adults and 46 juveniles out of the county, which kept them off of patrol for a total of 167.25 hours, with an estimated cost of $2,771. So I don't know if you have any questions about that. I have my backup for that. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight is last year when I presented, we also talked about the expansion grant which the county supported. At that time, we thought it was going to be a concurrent program which would establish us being able to operate 24/7. And because the grant was delayed in starting, it was supposed to start July of this year, which the first grant ends in December, so there would only be a 6-month window of our ability to operate 24/7 with the correct amount of staff. So we have asked DCF to go ahead and postpone it till January 1st and just maintain the staffing pattern that we have. But unfortunately, that means we can't expand our hours. So in order to expand hours to 24/7, we would need 4 additional staff, which would cost about $150,000, which the grant doesn't support. Any questions?
Any questions of Dr. Russo?
I have a couple comments. So the crisis intervention training that the LEO received, can you elaborate on the benefit of that to the community, to the taxpayers, and
It
especially
is-
law enforcement?
It's a 40-hour training that covers every aspect of mental health and substance abuse, how to deal with people that they encounter in the community on a call, and how to be able to de-escalate the situation and not cause it to become an event that nobody wants to, experience.
Including being arrested, correct?
It also does help with the arrest rate, because they can send them for treatment instead of sending them to jail.
Right.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, we monitor this closely, and since we have greatly expanded the use of the crisis intervention training, and obviously our goal is 100% of our staff, beginning in our communication centers, so they can start diffusing at that point all the way through to law enforcement officers and inside the jail. And we've seen about a 33% reduction in what we call use of control techniques or tactics, meaning we don't have 33% reduction in the use of physical control over subjects in mental crisis since this has begun. So just that in and of itself has been a huge help for us. And following up with what Nancy said, as you know, this has all been a project of your Public Safety Coordinating Council. The dollar figures saved are a great thing to consider, as always, but it goes even a step further than that, because for the first time ever, we are providing those follow-up wraparound services. In the past, when someone had been Baker acted, they were delivered to the receiving facility. We never knew what type, if any, treatment they received, and they were put straight back on the streets of Putnam County, and we saw a lot of repeat Baker acts, which are coming down. So in addition to the dollars saved, it's just the right thing to do to follow up and continue to get mental health services for these folks. Mental health is becoming an increasingly everyday issue that we deal with in law enforcement. So the goal, like Nancy said, is, and we appreciate the county's support, is we've got to expand this to 24 hours a day. We do it based on the 12 hours a day that studies show was our most likely time to interact with folks in mental crisis. So those 12 hours a day are being covered, but the other 12 are not. And we're also not able to cover juveniles. And as we see the growing mental health crisis in juveniles, that's going to become imperative. So that will be our absolute goal for the next year, is to expand those services to 24 hours a day and to our juveniles as well, so that we make sure the juveniles receive that, that wraparound service and that follow-up once they leave the receiving facility.
If I can also say that what also comes out of this is by not being arrested, by not having the stigma of having an arrest, you're not taking a person away from a job that may have been having a really bad day. So there's a lot of different variables here, and I think that hopefully we will continue to support not only these efforts, but expand it going forward. And we do have this in our strategic planning. So my vision would be that Putnam County have in-county services and not have to be transported out, obviously. With the reduction of transport by Ride Solutions, what is the net effect on us as a commission?
I'm not able to track any of that data any longer. I think the biggest downfall of that is there's no follow-up with the clients that are being transported. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the hospital does have a contract with an ambulance service and courtesy transport to take over their transports that the county was previously paying for. So those clients don't have any follow-up back with us.
Okay.
The net draw, the net deficit that we see there is that outside of the 12 hours that the crisis unit is responding, is your deputy sheriffs are transporting those folks. That may be to Lake City, it may be to Gainesville, Daytona. So like Nancy said, I don't remember exact figure, it's hundreds of hours that deputy sheriffs aren't on the streets answering calls, preventing crime, and doing what we need to do in Putnam County while we're transporting those that need mental health services. And then the greater effect of that is on the backside is, what did we really accomplish out of that transport? We don't know, because we don't know what services they received, and they didn't receive any services on the backside. That's why it's so important for us to try to expand this.
That's what I was trying to pull out for their edification. I know what the answer is because I sit in the meeting with you guys, but
When we're covering, more than 800 square miles with the deputy sheriffs that we have, it's already bare bones. And then when you take one off the street for several hours
Right.
to deal with the transport of Baker Act, it's a true deficit to the citizens, no doubt.
no, I'm a true believer that if we can get something going in county, the cost savings are going to be tremendous. And also, when you couple the fact that if somebody's going out of county to get their initial treatment and there's nothing in county for them, they have to continue to go out of county, they may not continue with it, especially when it involves substance abuse. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir, Commissioner Harvey.
Nancy, before you leave, I concur with what Commissioner Ross said, and I think it's very important that not only they might not be able to continue a service if they went out of town, they can't afford to go out of town. There's no way to get them out of town, and so that probably falls. What can we do to help you with that upcoming 24/7 grant? Because I know the answer, but again, I always like to ask the question when I know the answer. What can we do to help you get to where you want to be to serve our citizens properly?
It would be the extra funding for those 4 positions to be able to go around the clock. Come January, we will be able to transport juveniles because that is part of the new grant,
Right.
but we just can't do it 24/7.
So from now till January, you need help getting to the 24/7.
Which is about $150,000.
Wow, okay. Thank you.
But if I could, real quick, any way to quantify over the next year what the savings would be? Because if we're spending it anyways, and we're pledging the money up front, if it's close to a push, then net zero is net zero. It may not be a cost. It may just be an expenditure that we're going to spend anyways.
That's right.
We can
That might be
I
helpful.
will definitely work with the Sheriff's Department to figure those out.
Thank you.
Done? Commissioner, you done?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Russo, for that presentation. We're going to recess the Board of County Commission at this time. We're going to convene the Port Authority workshop, and the chair will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve the minutes of October 8th, Port Authority, October 22nd, Port Authority regular workshop, November 12th, Port Authority, and December 10th. regular.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, we'll accept public comment on Port Authority items only. Seeing none, I'll close public comment on Port Authority. And is there any discussion by commissioners at this point? Commissioner Goddard.
Yeah, I just want to say that anybody that's been by Triangle Park, it looks like it has imploded. But that's good news. It is going to be, it's coming back up, should be in a couple months. We will have a nice-looking new park. So bear with the looks of it right now, but it will improve.
With the splash pad.
Yes, with a splash pad.
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you for noticing that my pad's not working. I'd like to know where we're at on the, and I should have asked this question, I apologize. Any movement on the new lease for the barge port? Is that, are we,
No, sir, there's not at this point. We'll
Okay.
bring that up today for
that's
discussion
fine,
in the
thank
workshop.
you. I should have asked that question yesterday.
No, that's
I
fine. We
apologize.
just want some direction from the board, and we'll have that discussion at the workshop.
Okay, good, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. If there any more discussion on the Port Authority? Seeing none, the chair will adjourn the Port Authority and reconvene the Board of County Commissioners meeting. And before we move into public comment, I'd like to take a moment, and I'd like to invite Ms. Shirley Griffin to come up and make a small presentation, or an announcement, I guess it would be more so.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you. I would just like to tell you guys I love coming to your meetings. Love hearing what you're saying most of the time. If I don't, you know I'll let you know otherwise. But thank you for this honor. This morning I would like to tell you about we lost a former mayor to cancer several years ago, about 3 years ago, John Berquist. He was a wonderful mayor for Pomona Park. He really did a lot for us in just a short few years. But now his wife has passed from cancer, and her family is having a memorial this Saturday at 2 in our Pomona Park Community Center. It's at 200 East Main. If you get to Pomona Park, south of Palatka, you will turn to the left and go between Hills Hardware and the post office, and it's 2 blocks up there, and it's an old building. It's over 200 years old. But anyway, it will just be a memorial for her. So if you could come, it would be nice. If not, we all understand. So the family has asked me to kind of spread the word, and I'm really good at spreading words. So anyway, 2 o'clock this Saturday, and it'll just be very casual, and it'll be a nice memorial, I'm sure. Thank you for letting me tell you.
Thank you, Ms.
you.
Shirley.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. I'll open the public comment section. The portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed at the back of the meeting room at the entrances and should be submitted prior to the meeting or even during the meeting to the deputy clerk, Sarah, right over here on my left, your right, who will accept them and bring them up. The first speaker that I have that's turned in a card this morning is Brenda Price.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Brenda Price. I live at 113 Tropic Lane in Palatka. I was here last February with the same request. I'm asking for help in our neighborhood to clean up areas of trash, sitting cars, dilapidated houses, This week, I took a ride through our neighborhood, and we have 3 dilapidated houses that look like they need to be condemned. 11 piles of trash that look like hurricane piles that Waste Management said they can't pick up, and they are big. And they've sat there so long, the grass is taller than the piles now. They've been there, some of them, over a year. We have 27 sitting vehicles in a 3/10 of a mile area. That's a lot of vehicles that appear not to be running. We've recently had a mobile home pulled in at almost dark into a lot that he did not get a permit. I don't know what the issue is with campers. I haven't found out what the issue is, but we have 3 campers. At least 2 of them appear to have people living in them. We have 2 overflowing trash bins that are permanently on the county right-of-way. One of them, well, both of them's been there throughout the year this year. And one has been full all year. The other one has 7 garbage cans in their permanent bin, and usually throughout the week, at one time or other, they're all overflowing. Our ditches are full. One of the positives we have in our neighborhood is paved roads. When I first moved there almost 30 years ago, they had just got these roads paved. They're still in real good condition, but our ditches are not. And our roads are now being flooded with rainwater over the highways when it rains. And that will deteriorate our highways, and we will lose our good highways. I don't know how many culverts are full. I know mine is full, totally full, doesn't drain, and our ditches are full, you know. And so I'm asking for help from someone. I have been at different departments throughout the year, bringing these issues to their attention, asking for help, and I'm at my wit's end. I need help from someone, and I don't know who to go to.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Harvey was trying to turn on his button.
I think Jacob turned me on.
Okay.
I have pictures and a.
You don't
and a
need
proof.
to show the pictures. I'm familiar with this, and we addressed this last year. And you're right. I'm surprised that it didn't get taken care of, but I assure you, thank you for coming here today. This is where you would bring it. If you're not getting the answers, and I discussed this with you earlier, the avenues to go through, there are mechanisms to get it cleaned up. Unfortunately, there are also lacking mechanisms to take care of some of this stuff. When we have a storm, I explained that to you, but when we have a storm, there's only a short window for all that stuff to get picked up, and unfortunately, some people wait too long, throw their stuff out. They're on the county's right of way, and we honestly don't have a mechanism just to get it cleaned up. But that card that I gave you today, it has the email address on that, and every commissioner up here, Mr. Rawls is Jeff.Rawls, Larry.Harvey. Every one of ours is exactly pretty much the same, Putnam-FL.com. You can send that to any one of us, but I know that I'm going to kind of take this under my wing, make sure that as many items on here get marked off. If you don't see any progress, and let's give it a month, yes, get back with us. Send me an email. Send it to any one of us. Send us an email, and we will make sure that at least some of this gets addressed. I'm not saying all of it will be, but we're going to address this.
Well, you know, I've asked someone meet me in my neighborhood
I'd be
and
glad
let's
to.
discuss these issues. Are they issues, or should I not say anything because they're non-issues? 15-minute ride, a 15-minute ride over a 0.3 of a mile.
If you don't
And I
mind,
can point out every one of these, and you can look at them and see.
if you
And it's
don't,
not, yes, sir.
I was going to say, if you don't mind, you give me your phone number now or after this meeting, I will get with you and I will make sure that we're going to get on this.
All right. My
Ms.
number's
Price, if you need to leave, you can also leave your phone number with Sarah, and she'll get it to
I do
Commissioner
need to leave. I
Goddard.
have another appointment.
Another
That's
thing,
okay.
just for letting everybody know, we either have or we're fixing to have a grapple truck, a clamshell. I don't know if it's been delivered yet, but if it has, okay. So some of these issues that a year ago, we didn't have an avenue to pick up. If it's on the county right away, we do have an avenue to go pick it up now. So if Commissioner Goddard, if you get with her, we do have that option now. We did not have until within the last couple of weeks. So the
Well, it's
trash,
sad to
the
say,
trash
but
that's
this
on the
is
right
not a
of way, we can-
one-time issue in my neighborhood. It's an ongoing issue. We have people who continually do this. And
Ma'am, and
a one-time pickup is gratefully helped.
Right, it's not an isolated incident all over the county, believe me.
Yes, sir, I
And so I understand it's dear to you with it being your home
It is.
neighborhood, but if Commissioner Goddard has agreed that he would go look at it and see if he can't get the proper people involved in the proper part of it, because it's no one person that's gonna handle it other than your commissioner. Because it sounds to me like you have sanitation issues, code enforcement issues, you have public works issues, you have all these different issues, and he can direct those proper people to come out to the neighborhood and help
I will
you.
appreciate any help that we can get.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Ms. Price.
Mr. Price, before you leave, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. So I got with Mitra and I got with John Siafi. We discussed this when you sent the photos in last week, or actually week before. One of the solutions that we came up with was possibly going door knocking, but what this comes down to is personal accountability. Your neighbors are slobs, and the government cannot control that, unfortunately. As far as the cars and the right-of-ways and all the trash they're putting in there, the gentleman that's cutting up trees and putting the stuff out there, that can be controlled, and they're in the process of doing that, but they have to take it, they have their process they have to go through as well. It would be a lot of fun to walk up with a badge and stick in somebody's face and say, clean your yard up, and you have to do it, but that can't be done. So it's one of those situations where the neighbors need to pull together and hold each other accountable, and that would go a long way to making this problem go away.
Well, a little over a year ago, a previous commissioner and the codes department worked together in issuing citations and did go knocking on people's doors.
Right.
And we got it cleaned up.
Well, that's what we talked about.
It hasn't been cleaned up since.
I told Mitra when they go, I'll be more than happy to go with them, but there's a process, and
I
like
wouldn't
Mr.
want to
Turner
go to
said,
anybody's door.
It's probably going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, government shouldn't have to be the answer in this situation, but your neighbors are just slobs, and what can you
Well,
say about it?
I know, I realize that, but the issue is now getting it cleaned up.
Right. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Sean LaHave.
What resiliency?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Sean LaHave, and I'm the Resiliency Coordinator for the Northeast Florida Regional Council. We're based out of Jacksonville, Florida at 100 Festival Park Avenue. I'm here to introduce the Northeast Florida Regional Council today, but more importantly, extend our appreciation to Commissioner Goddard and Commissioner Rawls for serving on our Board of Directors. We're very grateful to have both of your perspectives at the table at the regional level. The Northeast Florida Regional Council serves 7 counties and 26 municipalities throughout Northeast Florida, and we work on a broad range of different focus areas, from planning and policy to emergency preparedness, healthcare preparedness, resiliency, and economic development. I am the county staff person assigned to Putnam County from the Regional Council, and I'm here to listen to the issues facing Putnam County. I've been on the ground extensively in Palatka and Putnam County, attending commission meetings, and I'm here to listen to the issues. So next week I'll be presenting at the Sunrise Rotary Club, which I'm very appreciative of, and we're looking forward to working with you this year. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. LaHave.
Thank you.
Sean.
Okay, all the cards that I have today, so with that, we'll move into item number 6, the consent agenda. Commissioner Pickens,
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey,
I have nothing, sir.
Commissioner Goddard,
I have none.
Commissioner Rawls,
Ditto.
none,
Ditto. It's a foreign word, means I have none.
and I have none.
Not to be condescending.
With that, the chair will take
Mr. Chairman,
a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agendas, item A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and L.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. With that, we'll move into the code enforcement fine reduction request. Mitra? Sarah, a while ago, I didn't have Colonel Wells give his name for the record. Is he well, he's well-known enough, you're good, right? Do you need staff to give you their name okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Mitra.
Good
Welcome.
morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We only have one today. Fine reduction request for code case 1999-280. Property address is County Line Road, 750 East Palatka. Property owners now are Oneida Potato Exchange LLC. Give you a little bit case summary on this case. The case number 1999-280. The property was cited for unsafe and abandoned structure. Original fine amount was $105,400 at the time. This case was started back in November of 1999. Daily fine had started on May 38, 2000. Compliance was achieved by December 14, 2011. Ownership changed several times over the year. Previous owners didn't do anything. It was already complied back in 2011. The current owner, they bought the property in November of 2019, and they wanted to clear the code case so they can move forward with the property. Original amount was $105,400. Reduced amount staff recommends is $1,977. If you have any questions, I'll try my best.
I have one.
Yeah, yes, Commissioner Rawls.
They're willing to pay this and pay it in the next 90 days?
We did send them the hearing notice for today's meeting, and I haven't heard anything after that, but we do put whatever my recommendations are, we put that on the letter, and we haven't heard anything after that. Oh, sorry, we should have asked if they were here.
Doesn't get any easier than that.
Okay.
Good morning.
If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Deborah Jones, Oneida Potato Exchange.
I need you to speak into the microphone. They're
Sorry.
recording it. Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Jones, Oneida Potato Exchange. Our address is County Line Road, 750 East Palatka. I don't know what else to say.
You're good with the fine reduction?
We're looking for a reduction, and if it's all in agreement, I'll make sure that check is mailed today.
Oh, that's even better.
Okay, well, if the chair has any questions, does any of the commissioners have any questions? Okay, well, good. Do I have to ask for public comment on this one?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve staff recommendation on this codes enforcement fine request for Oneida Potato Exchange.
Second?
We have a motion and a second under discussion for the 1977, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you
Thank you
for
very
coming
much.
this morning. Thank you, Mitra.
Thank you.
She'll be chasing you down for the check in just a moment.
Not really. Okay. We're going to move into the clerk of court. Mr. Smith,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no items today.
thank you. We're going to move into appointments. I would like to move into the first appointment, if that's okay with everybody. On the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, I'd like to appoint Ms. Sheila McCoy for District 3 Representative. And Sarah, I have a copy of her citizen participation application. I'm going to leave it up, I'll leave it up here and make sure you get it as part of the record. I had a question. Does anybody know if Carl Davis wanted to go back on the trades board as the consumer representative, or do we need to seek someone for that position? We do. Okay. All right, thank you. With that, I'm going to ask if the commissioners have any appointments. Commissioner Rawls?
I have none. That's another item.
Yeah,
on
the
there.
problem with this right here, Commissioner, is this lady hasn't filled out an application yet. And so until she agrees to fill out an application, or we change the rules, whichever happens first, we can't appoint her. Yeah, that was at the last meeting, actually. So, I think she would be a wonderful addition to that. It's just that under the current rules, she has to fill out an application. And until last week, the only way you could fill out an application was to go online and fill it out on our webpage. So that seemed to be a problem. So I approached the administration last week and asked them to make that application downloadable, where somebody could fill it out with a pencil if they desired and turn it in. So that has taken place. It happened as of Thursday of last week, I believe was the day, maybe Wednesday or Thursday of last week. So now for someone that is not real good at computers or doesn't have fast internet access or whatever, and I think there was something to do with that form that if you didn't fill it out in a certain number of time, it would time out and go away and you had to start over. So now it's fixed where it can be downloaded, and maybe that'll help some. Do you have any others, Commissioner Goddard? Commissioner Rawls?
I'd like to point Mark Leonard to the Affordable Housing Board. He's sitting in the back. He's probably scratching his brain.
Filled out an application yet, Commissioner?
No, he doesn't have to. I haven't talked to him, but I'm making a joke, but I don't have any right now.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner
You need to do
Rawls.
that.
Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey?
I have none, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 10, County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I'm sure that the commissioners will talk about the events of this past week with the Bassmaster, so I'll yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Administrator Suggs. Colonel Commando?
Nothing additional today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner requests and comments. I'll start with Commissioner Rawls.
Just want to say that I attended the Northeast Florida Regional Council meeting. Several things going on that we really need to be attentive to, one of which is going to be our express busing that they're starting up now. There's a hub in Jacksonville they're finishing up, and our folks that are qualify as the transportation disadvantaged can get transported to Jacksonville, hit a hub, and then be moved in different directions for work, for medical treatment, stuff like that. But
Would you mind expanding on that just a little bit? So basically, you'd get on a bus here and go to Jacksonville, and then they would bus them out from a hub in Jacksonville.
Yep, and other counties, St. John's, Flagler, are doing this. One of the issues they're having right now, Flagler County and St. John's talked about especially, is the buses coming in late in the evening, and then there's no other transportation, so they get dropped off at the location, say in St. John's County, and then there's no way to get from there back to home or back to where the other, because they have busing services in the daytime, but not 24/7. So I just think it's something, it kind of perked my ears up, and when you think about us, as expansive as we are and as loose, we're not very densely populated, so you have folks living way out. Just something for us to think about going forward for people that have transportation issues that would like to get to either medical facilities or jobs or training, to be able to look at that in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Goddard.
Now, I'm going to continue on that. The disabled, basically, is what ours is doing. Ride Solutions is also for the public, but we move mostly those that have medical transports. Right now, it goes back and forth to Gainesville, over to St. Johns County, and up to Jacksonville. But that hub that Commissioner Ross is talking about, because of the vastness of Jacksonville. This hub is going to be fantastic for all the communities, like you would a large Greyhound bus area. You'll be able to come in there, you have a rest area, you can sit, you can get to the different points that you need to, including back to Gainesville or back down to any of the other counties. But for our county, it's because we are so spread out, it is very needed for the transport of those that have medical problems. But it is out there for the standard citizen. I think it's $1, if I'm not mistaken. It's very inexpensive to get it. Trouble is you getting back late. Unfortunately, we don't have the routes, and we can't afford it right now. But it's getting better, as usual. Since I have this, I guess everyone did know that we had the Bassmasters Elite going on here, which was fantastic. Unfortunately, I was busy down at the shipyard, which is another thing that people don't realize. Putnam County produces some very beautiful ships. Newcastle Marine does a beautiful job. They used to make some huge yachts. Now they're making what I call business-type commercial ships right now. And same thing down at St. John Shipbuilding, which employs a lot of employees right here in Putnam County. But they do gorgeous boats down there. I mean, it's really impressive to see what goes on here. And I always say it, and I'll say it again, get out here and see Putnam County. What we produce here is incredible. It really is incredible. And what we have here is our natural resources. It's just incredible. Get out here, go check the National Forest, go down there on the river, go down to check out, I mean, some of the beauty we have in the Crescent City. You just got to get out here and see what we have in Putnam County. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Pickens?
Okay, thank you, Chairman Turner. I'll just add to what Commissioner Goddard said. The Bassmaster Elite tournament was in town this weekend. If you didn't notice, there were 88 contestants and 88 marshals. So I just want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the TDC Council for sponsoring them and being able to bring them to town. I want to thank the Sheriff's Department and the Palatka Police Department for the help with parking and with traffic control. I was part of the crew that's headed up by Taylor Douglas to park the trucks and the trailers during that event. And if you don't know, the first 2 days got canceled, but we put 50-something boats in, I guess, on Thursday, and they canceled it. You had to pull them back out. And then on Friday, did the same thing. So anyway, so it was a Saturday, Sunday, and then a Monday tournament. And I understand that local angler Cliff Prince finished fourth, which was really good. And I also want to thank Administrator Suggs and Matt. They were down helping with the parking, and also Quinn Vermay and a number of others. So it was great for Putnam County and the city of Palatka for that tournament to be here. And the FLW tournament is this weekend, so we'll start parking again, I think, at 5 o'clock Thursday morning. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to thank, really, if you look at the Bassmasters Elite or any of our bass tournaments, but this one especially, you can't buy the publicity that Putnam County and Palatka gets from that. It's just amazing that what goes on and all the hard work, and I do want to thank the Chamber and the Tourist Development and all the people that volunteer to go down there. Did attend the Florida Association of Counties Legislative Day. Drove up that morning. Oh, don't ever try to do that again. Drive up in the morning, spend all day. I did spend the night, but I was very glad to get back to Putnam County. I do want to thank our staff. You know, we talked about going and meeting with staff about the budget items. I met with Matt yesterday and Mr. Suggs, and just some really, really good foundations that were already laid. I understand I was the last commissioner, and but honestly, it's just very joyful when I brought up the concerns that I had, and Matt said, yes, we're working on that. We've got this, and let me write that down. And it's just a joy to work with our staff, and I just want to give them kudos. And I think right now we got one of the best staffs I've ever seen, and we're all standing in the same direction, rowing in the same direction. You know, we don't always get to win, Staff has a process to go through. We have a process, but it's nice when we can merge those two together and come out with some results that help and affect our citizens. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. I'd also like to join Commissioner Pickens and Harvey in giving kudos to the fishing tournament. I think it was real good. I think it was good for the community. I'm glad to see we got another one coming up this weekend. The television that we get from it should be good over the period of time, not including the money that it brings into the county. I'd also like to say that I'm glad to hear that the comp plan's coming along. I understand that it's real close to starting at the planning commission level. I'm real happy about that. Hopefully it won't be long before we can get enough of it done that we can start working on the land development code in unison to it or right behind it. So thank you, Mike, for bringing that along and getting it to where it is. I understand they're real close to having their data gathered that they need, the consultant does, to be able to start the process, so good. And with that, if there's no more business to come before the board today,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And to piggyback on that with, I want to thank Susan Neal Roberts, who's the chairman of the Planning Commission, and she took the time and the effort to meet with all 5 commissioners separately. I want to make sure everybody understands that, for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and get our input on that. So I just want to thank her for her extra efforts and what she does for the Planning Commission.
Yes, thank you for that, Commissioner Pickens. If there's no more business to come before, I don't
Chairman.
have to jerk it back, yeah, okay.
The first meeting for the public for the comp plan was not well advertised, and they said they were going to have another one. Do we know when that's going to be yet? I was at a meeting last night in Boswick, and they were asking me.
Mike's shaking his head.
Yes, that's a very good point, Commissioner Rawls. That's all right, Mike, I got it. We've got a dual acting PIOs that have agreed to, as of Thursday of last week. I was going to bring that up. I meant to bring it up. So I don't know if that's exactly their prompt title or not, but Laura Parsons and Julianne Young have agreed to put some of their time in being our PIO until we get that position permanently filled sometime in the future. I think it's very important in this day and age of communication and technology that we have somebody putting out things on the street that are public. And we did a post they did a post the other day, and they had over 5,000 people that went and visited that post on the playground. So once, you could say what you want, but there's more people in this county that are on Facebook than there are on that read than any newspaper, or all the newspapers combined in the county. So if we can continue getting our followers and we can start putting those kind of things on our Facebook page and have it active like it's fixing to be, then I think it's going to stop a lot of these issues that nobody got the message, or nobody was informed. So if they can stay on our Facebook page, hopefully we can fix that, or we already have fixed that. So
The question is, before the planning commission starts getting the comp plan, there needs to be public input.
Right.
Because it wasn't advertised well, there was only about 8 people that attended the meeting. So the Boswick Community Association was asking last night when they could attend the next meeting.
Okay, well, I'm hoping that those kind of schedules are what's going to be put on our Facebook page, where you can follow it and make it a show me first or whatever it's called. I'm not an expert at it, but I think you can make it to where you can see certain posts first. And so if people that are interested in the Putnam County, Florida BOCC, they can go to that Facebook page, and hopefully within a few weeks our schedules will be up there and things that matter and what have you. Yeah, my thing's not working, Commissioner Pickens.
I'll just ask you, Commissioner Rawls, when they said it wasn't advertised well, did they have an avenue of which they preferred to look? Was it Facebook or a newspaper ad, or?
What happened was,
A bailout?
I got an email from Joel Danzel, who is a District 2 representative on the planning board, and he said, hey, there's a meeting Thursday, do I have to be there at 6 PM? And I said, gee, I don't know. So I contacted Mike Brown, he said, this is gonna be the public input portion. So I attended the meeting, but as a commissioner, I wasn't aware that the meeting was being had either. There was nothing on the calendar, and there was, if you took staff out, there was really, Susan was there from the planning board. There was really only about 4 or 5 people from the public. And when I asked the question, Mike said that they had a snafu in the advertisement of it, so they were going to have another meeting. But my concern is I just want to make sure that before this gets handed over to the planning board, that we still have the public input meetings at some point. You know, BOCC is an area that's going to have a lot dumped in their backyard over the next 5 years, and they need to be made aware of that, and other areas as well, East Palatka, obviously, and
Well, I fully agree with you, Commissioner Rawls, and that's part of the reason why I asked that we could do this PIO thing. And if anybody, that's a common theme at any meeting, not just this, but a common theme is no one feels like they were that they were informed of any meeting enough. And even if you go up and knocked on the door, it would be some reason that they weren't informed enough. So over a period of time, I'm hoping that this social media thing that we're moving into as of Thursday of last week will be a step in the right direction. When somebody says that, we can say, do you get the newspaper? Do you look at Facebook? We'll continue on until we get better at what we do. I totally agree with you on that. So this is our first step in that direction. And hopefully within a few weeks, we'll be up to speed on a real Facebook type thing like Allison does for the Sheriff's Department, or Tess, I think, does for Parks and Rec or whatever. And also at some point, they're gonna start reaching out to the other county departments that are doing some of it and try to have it all to where they share each other's stuff to some degree, and they do whatever to where it's a true county, Board of County Commissioners Facebook page. Anybody that wants to follow the commission can go to that Facebook page. And if you write something, Sarah, I'd sure would appreciate it if you'd mention where more people would get on the Facebook for the BOCC, because we hope it'll get there. And if there's no more to come before the board today, I'll call the meeting adjourned.